today, I am pumped beyond belief. I am in my house, still social distancing, but not feeling that distant from my guest today, Laine, who is part of the Good Bones show on HGTV, which is super soon. So in just a few weeks, hop on HGTV. I have to say, so I don't watch a whole lot of television. I'm on the verge of Amish here, but you guys really kind of pop when it comes to what you do and what has kind of inspired me. First of all, your vision. You guys go in and find within, it's really pretty much Indianapolis, correct? That you're based, some really rough around the edges houses. You demo, you renovate, and create this just beautiful gem at the end of it, flipping houses.
Thank you.
I'm like, what? That's amazing. Just beautiful, beautiful end product. So your business has been Two Chicks and a Hammer.
Correct.
I love the name, by the way.
Thanks.
Being the goodness chick, I'm like, okay. So you started this business, and when you think about people demoing, and you've got your crew, and you're just ripping stuff down, and you don't typically think about women kind of being the captains of the ship. Yeah. And I love how you've kind of blown away so many different stereotypes and people thinking different things. How did people, when you guys first started, you and Mina, how did people receive you?
The best example is when we go into one of the lumberyards to buy products. All day long, they deal with men. And here's Mina, who's gorgeous, and she just smiles and tips her head one way, and they give her a discount because she's the nicest smelling thing they've seen all day. So we were both raised in a way where the glass ceiling wasn't something we were taught about. I had 3 sisters, and my parents just raised us to be whoever we were. So being in a man's world doesn't feel strange to me. And most of the time, I don't even notice, because most men are not sexist anymore. It's when you run into one who truly is a misogynist, you go, oh, sexism exists still. And they're just rare. Also, before this, I worked as a litigator, and female litigators are rare.
Okay.
And some men don't know how to deal with a female litigator. So I'm accustomed to that situation where a man doesn't know what to do with me because I don't fit in. And it just doesn't bother either one of us. We just don't pay attention to that. We just keep doing what we're doing, and we don't worry about, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You have to deal with that problem. I'm going to still be me.
Do you feel like you've been an inspiration to women?
What I have found on social media is a lot of women have reached out saying, we do what you do. So that feels good. And a lot of kids watch us, like fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, mothers, a lot of parents and children, because it's a show where there's no gory violence, and there's no sex, and there's very little foul language. Mina can curse a blue streak. I tend to say, by golly. And she says other things. But you can watch it with your kids. And so kids see this happening and they think, I want to do that. Yeah. And that is the great part of TV, when it can inspire and educate and encourage.
And that's what you guys do. And it's kind of neat. I mean, from my end, from somebody who would love, right, to be able to create what you create. And that's, you guys create a product with your hands. Yeah. And I think you do send a message of work ethic and having a vision and making something that is rough around the edges, and having just a beautiful product in the end. It's kind of cool.
And we are all creators, all of us, in some way or another. And if you find your medium, and it's not a house for everyone.
Right.
For some people, it's painting or raising children or teaching school. We all have a medium, and just be creative in your medium, and life is so much better.
Isn't it? I feel like when we kind of fulfill our purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump a little bit here. I know you kind of let it out that you are going to be retiring, distancing a little bit from production in the future. And someone might say, but Karen, what are you thinking? You've got this going on right now, and you're on television, and why? So what would your response be to them in terms of like having now a different season and calling in your life?
Yeah, so I've retired from the company Two Chicks and a Hammer. I will still be on the show pretty much the same way I always have been. And retiring from the company means the next generation gets to take over and run the world. And as a mom, that's my job. Mm-hmm. Make sure that they have the skills they need and then step back. Right. And I have 100% confidence in these 30-somethings who are running the world, in my world. The rest of them I don't know about. But the kids running the company are amazing. They have a skill set and a drive and a love for what they do that makes me 100% confident that I don't have to show up at the office and be in the meetings. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. And as far as top of my game, the show came along when I was at the top of my game as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. I was 100% actualized, doing what I was called to do. But I believe when the universe comes along and opens a door, the only thing you regret is not walking through it. Mm. So I went from the top of my game to, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Now, 5 years in, I know what I'm doing. And I know how to do this job. But my husband's retired. He's been retired for 2 years now, and he's an absolute delight. And I would love to spend more time with him. And this whole COVID thing has been great because we've gone on a motorcycle ride, we've gone hiking, we've gone kayaking, we've worked in the garden. I mean, it's just been delightful. So I turned 60. It felt like the right time to open the door for the next adventure.
That's pretty cool though. I mean, it is. It's like how you had said the door opens at certain points, and that door only stays open for so long. And it's right. That taking that step that can be scary, but taking it, and it's such a cool thing to be able to go with where that passion and your heart's pulling you.
I had a friend, I have an immune disorder, and she was very concerned about me, and it must be scary during this time. I said, are you kidding? I'm not scared of anything. Why would I be scared of this? And I've never felt afraid of taking a chance because the universe always catches me. I step through that door into, I don't know what, and I always have a soft landing, always. And I think that trust eliminates the fear.
Fear is a 4-letter word that needs to be a positive instead of that negative.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of grabbing the bull by its horns. And I think it's so cool. I know when I meet people who have that mindset, just like you and Mina do, life is more colorful and full.
Yes.
And you don't always know what the heck the next step's going to be.
No.
But you sure know that it's not going to be boring, right?
Well, I mean, and what I like to say about our houses is we always know there's going to be a problem. Those shows where they're shocked by the problem, it's ridiculous. You should have known there was going to be. We don't always know what the problem's going to be, but we know we have the skill set and the right mental attitude to see it as a challenge and an opportunity rather than a problem.
Mm-hmm. Whether, like a weak link in the chain, glass is half empty kind of thing. And this is where mindset, I think, is massive. Mm-hmm. Is massive.
I agree.
So I'm going to ask you this. You and your daughter work together many, many hours out of the day, right? Yeah. And you're doing some pretty intense decision-making and personal, professionally. And some of the words that would come to mind when I think of both of you guys is camaraderie, respect for one another. And one of the things I think about is through some of your decision-making, you disagree.
Yeah.
How do you maintain a healthy relationship? Because I know, different people I've counseled over the years, and even in my life experience where, people have said, I just don't have any patience and we disagree and kind of have diluted the relationship, which makes me sad because I'm like, life is really short. What would your thoughts be with that?
My philosophy comes from a class that I took when my kids were tiny, 2-3 years old, called Systematic Training for Effective Parenting. And the basic concept is we're on the same team. I'm here to help my children become who they should be. And that really resonated with me. And it made everything easy after that. I'm support staff. I'm here to help them become. I'm a platform from which they can launch safely. And I still feel that way in my relationships with them. I'm support staff. What do you need from me? And with Mina specifically, after she graduated from college, she lived with me for I don't know how long. over a year with her boyfriend. And then after that, we've lived together on and off. So we've always had a very, very close relationship. And Mina has a strategy for problem solving that is she withdraws. She needs a timeout. She needs to think about what's happened, process it, and then she can come back in. And as her team member, my job is to respect that process, let her have it, and be ready when she comes back in. And that's always been my approach. It's like, you know, ever read the story, The Giving Tree? And a lot of people think it's really sad. Yeah. And I don't think it's sad at all. I think it's beautiful that here's this sturdy, steady entity that is just there. I'm just here for you. And I don't think she would always feel that way. She might feel differently, but that's my approach that I try to live.
And you do have different outlooks when it comes to relationships within a family. But regardless of that, you both put forth concerted efforts.
It's right or die, right? This is my kid. I'm not giving up on my kid, right?
No, and no matter what, I believe in, you know, kind of the old term, iron sharpens iron. Learning, I believe no matter what age, we can learn from someone. Absolutely. And people can learn from us. Yes. And, you know, I've learned that my mom is one of my best friends, and there's times we don't necessarily agree on things, but it's like, you know what, we're going to agree to disagree, and I'll love you. And there's certain things we just kind of maybe shift gears a little bit. We don't talk about as much. Yeah. And that's okay. But she's, you know, will forever till I super die, or she, you know, passes away. She'll be one of my best friends, and not being willing to kind of, sacrifice that would make my heart super sad.
We're talking about mothers. For most of my young adulthood, I really did not like my mother at all, and we did not have a good relationship. And I made a decision that I wanted to change that, and I got some help. You know, I believe in therapy. If you're in a sticky point and you can't figure it out, go to therapy, work through it and figure it out. And I had a therapist give me really good advice. He said, think of your mother as someone you've just met at work. Think of her by her first name and start from there. Let go of all the baggage, all the things that you don't like, and figure out who she is as an adult. And you're an adult. And from that day forward, our relationship has been amazing. Wow. Because I learned to respect where she came from, the influences that formed her as a person, her own struggles, which as a kid you don't see. You know, you don't know what your parents are going through. There's this really good little cartoon I saw recently. There's a guy leaning over the top of a cliff reaching down, and there's a woman hanging on to a ledge right below him, and she's reaching up. And she can't reach any further because in this crevice in the rock is a snake that's going to bite her. And he can't reach any further because on his back is a rock that won't let him move. And she's thinking, why don't you reach further? And he's thinking, why don't you reach further? And neither one of them are aware of the other person's challenge or limit. And I just think of that all the time now, that I don't know what that person's challenge is. Yeah. So let me give them a break. Let me be patient and loving and see if I can understand. Let me ask some questions. Can you reach further? Yeah. No, there's a snake that's going to bite me. Oh. Yeah. So.
Boom. That fills in the blank a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it was with my mom before I knew about that. Before I knew about that little graphic that gave me so much clarity. She has a snake that's going to bite her. I have a rock that prevents me from moving. Yeah. What can I do to move that rock to get closer?
I think that's a pretty, not just only accurate, but just, I mean, it's on point in terms of like allowing you to think, because I think, you know, as whether, you know, you're looking as a child and a parent, a sibling, it's really easy to get caught up in our own, like thinking, you know, why aren't they doing this? And not thinking, taking a step back and asking questions and thinking that everybody, every single one of us, even if we live in the same household, brings our baggage, our past to the table. You know, when we allow ourselves to think about the people we love and within our circle, that they're more than just a title. And that, and I know some people listening have been through some really hard, intense, excruciating times where they've said, I need for my best interest to actually break away from this person. And sometimes that is the case. And other times it's like, okay, are you giving them a fair chance? Or are you, like you had said, kind of being willing to say, I'm meeting this person for the very first time. I'm putting all the past behind me, which can be really hard. But when we are willing, right, to like say, giving them another shot, and what do they come to the table with, and how that can influence our decisions, our relationship. And I with every year that I live, it's thinking, man, life is really, really short, and relationships, healthy ones, are really important. And being willing to kind of be patient, be willing to listen. I think many of us struggle with that we think about what we're going to say before we're actually listening to what the person has said. Yep. And becoming better for it.
And there are tools for good listening that we can all use. Reflecting back what someone has said. It slows the conversation. It makes sure we've really heard it. Mm-hmm. It makes sure when we say it back, they agree. Yeah, that's what I meant. That are very useful, especially in intimate relationships, like with children and parents and loved ones. My cat has joined us.
I was going to say, I like your kitty.
This is River.
Hey, River. Hey, River. That's it. We have Bob the fish out in the living room, and Leonard the lizard. So I won't introduce you to them. We can do some visual imagery. So we'll be getting our puppy, Johnny Cash Bob, once we get settled in our new house. So name's already been picked out. Yeah. But and that's one of the things I've loved. Like, I know you've done a lot of advocate work with animals, and taking rescue pets in, and as being kind of multifaceted with your passions, which is kind of cool.
I'm trying to focus now. Homeless people have been on my heart for 30 years. I've had some experience. Stop it. He likes the headphone. Stop it. I've had some experiences. The first one was about 30 years ago with the homeless. And so I started a 501c3 called the Indie Home Inc. The idea is you're homeless for a multitude of reasons. Like, there isn't a pattern for why someone becomes homeless. And the trick is to start with a home, because that's where the healing comes from. When you feel secure, when you have a space where you can stay if you want to. They're using drugs or alcohol to deal with the feelings that they're having trouble dealing with their life. Their life isn't working, and this is a symptom of that problem. It's not the problem. And if you get them into a home, they can let go of those symptoms and they can get to the problem. And not everybody does. That's not the goal. The goal is to create an opportunity. So hopefully retirement will let me do more of that. I'm at the very, very beginning of this process, and I'm going to build my first affordable house, hopefully this year, fingers crossed, if I have enough time, and see how we can make it work in our town for our demographic, the people that we would serve. That's the goal, is to go slowly and thoughtfully, and fundraising. I mean, the first step was making the 501c3. So now we can fundraise, but I want to show someone this is what we can do. So I want to have one house done.
Right.
Know exactly what it costs. Know what we've thought a lot about. We need a social worker on site. We need a property manager on, all these things. And it's new to me, so I don't want to jump in, which is against my nature. I usually jump in the deep end of the pool and then go, oh, I can't swim. But I have a friend helping with it who is very, very thoughtful and very invested in this area, and hopefully we'll make this happen. That's the goal.
Okay, that's pretty awesome now, going from something you're passionate about to actually taking those steps and making it a tangible outreach. I think is I don't know, it's inspiring, and I know
it's harder than I thought.
Yeah, but I think the ability to change and help people is easier than we think, and it's from just talking about this. And I know no matter what community you're in throughout the states, or really anywhere across the globe, there's people that are living without homes.
Yeah.
And little things. I know when I work with high school kids, years ago, I started a program called Philly Full-Fledged Feed. Say that 4 times. And what it was getting kids on a bus, and we would make about 150 bag lunches. and we would spend a week or two beforehand collecting clothing and socks that were, a big one, and shoes, and then having these kids go in, it was Love Park in Philly, and hand things out. And it would be amazing to watch the veil kind of lift from their eyes, where never thinking things were perfect in the world, but to actually engage with somebody who was homeless and allowing them to speak with them, that why are they there? And I'd say, ask them questions and let whoever it was ask you questions back. And the beauty behind that of with your two hands, one of my favorite songs is Jack Johnson's with my own two, I can change the world with my own two hands, that you can. And it doesn't
do something.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think nobody deserves to be without a home. And especially right now, what's going on, thinking all these people that have lost their jobs and businesses getting shut, what are we doing to kind of step up to the plate a little bit? And I say to you, good on you for taking something that you're passionate about. And now it's kind of scary because it's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to bring all these pieces together? But you're doing it.
Yeah. And the trick is just keep moving forward. I'm at a little bit of a roadblock with a floor plan. I need to sit with it until I get it right. I just need to sit with it. Mm-hmm. But you're making me think. I had an experience when I was about 10 years old where some friends of my parents influenced my life so profoundly. I still think of this experience where they just liked me. They just liked me. And I'd never had that experience of adults thinking to my parents, I'm just one of the kids, right? It wasn't that they weren't doing a good job as parents. It's just, they didn't feel like it was their job to focus on me and make me feel special and loved and worthwhile. That wasn't how we raised our kids then. And that experience where these people liked me made me realize how profound our actions can be, even small ones, where you just like someone. Mm-hmm. So now in the grocery store, when a kid's having a tantrum, I always get down on eye level and I say, what's going on? You okay? And they're always terrified, but they stop crying, which the parent always appreciates. And I don't get in their space. I don't get weird. And I'm a very non-threatening person. And I always think that experience where someone just liked them, it may not make a difference, but what if it did?
Yeah. Well, and making eye contact and that smile that goes really far.
Why not just do that every chance you get? Why not?
Well, sprinkling kindness. That's all it is. A little sprinkle that costs no money. Yeah,
exactly. And we can all do something. Not everyone can start a nonprofit, but we can all do something.
We can all do something. And it's as simple as in your car, keeping a little $2 box of crackers from Walmart and, some little juice boxes that you hand out if you pass somebody, or it's, throughout the day, I'm going to make eye contact and say hello to 10 people. It's having your own kind of, I'll say, bucket list of goodness and kindness. And in the end, it's not only passing that baton to somebody else, but you feel really good and realizing, I think it makes our problems and our agita in life minimized.
Yeah, it's like it keeps your perspective.
Keeps things in perspective.
And I have a rule, we have a lot of panhandlers because we're in sort of the inner city of Indianapolis. And I never give anybody money. I say, what do you need? Yeah. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you want a cigarette? What are you going to use the money for? I'll take you to get that thing. And then I spend a little time with them. Yeah. Because I don't want to support their drinking habit or their drugging habit because I don't think that's helping them. But I do want them to be fed and sheltered and warm and cared about.
And feel like a person.
Yeah, yeah.
And it could be cost you $2 because you go into McDonald's and for 99 cents you get a warm sandwich, and another 99 cents you get a cup of coffee. Boom, make eye contact and little things that we don't have to, kind of get overwhelmed and thinking I can't do that. Well, you can do something.
We can all do something, all of us. Even just picking up trash in your neighborhood.
Oh, so big. Yes. Rubbish. Pick it up. Right.
Pick it up. My youngest daughter, her fiance calls her Little Miss Sparkle because she keeps that neighborhood spotless. And it's
good
a passion of hers. It tells people I care about my home and where I live. And criminals are less likely to hang out where people care. Right? So it's this whole...
Well, and it's knowing that you're making a difference. It's so funny. My son and I, whenever we go to the beach, we're like a block from the beach, And we always, we bring a bag and we pick up stuff.
Yeah.
And I love how it's now ingrained in him. He's a little vocal sometimes, that can't be good, but there was a gentleman who was like leaning over the little balcony area, like on the small boardwalk, and he flipped his cigarette, and my son looked at him and he said, "Don't throw rubbish." And I was like, "Good on you." And he wasn't, but why? And I said, and I then joined him and I said, "Are you going to pick that up?" And obviously he wasn't. And he just looked at me and he said, "It's just one cigarette butt." And I said, "Well, the 1,000 other people that are flicking their cigarette butts today make our beach, dirty. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy."
Right. And I'm not adverse to, if you smoke, you smoke. I'm not mad at you.
Right. I don't care. Don't throw your butt. There's not cigarette butt fairies. Like, like they're not. I don't care. If you make the decision to smoke, that is not my issue. The issue is like,
the trash.
Don't be a butthead, like literally, and throw it on the ground. Just pick it up.
We were at a stoplight and somebody threw a cup out of their car. And I got out, walked around, picked it up and said, "I think you dropped this."
Love it.
And then I decided I shouldn't do that anymore because I don't know who's sitting behind the wheel.
You could get shot. Yeah.
Yeah, you could get shot.
Yeah.
So now I just pick up the cup. I don't give it back.
Yeah,
but I make sure they see me picking up the cup.
Mm-hmm.
But me doing what I believe is right.
Right.
And that's what
Pretty
I
cool.
can do. That's what I can do.
Yeah. It's a good feeling. I do. I think at the end of the day when I'm laying in bed, to know that I've done little big things that have contributed to making myself and really the world a better place. And some days it's more massive than others. Other days I picked up 2 pieces of trash and that was my goodness for the day because it was one of those social distancing days. And others it's bigger. And that's where I think it's being okay to know, especially during this time of social distancing and with COVID, that our ability to kind of do what we normally do, if we use that term, we got to kick it down a notch. And I mean that in terms of not being so hard on ourselves and doing what you can. You know, your daughter's, she's going around the neighborhood, taking her walk. There's still rubbish. We pick it up. So that's a win, right? And being kind of less hard on ourselves, because sometimes I think we can be kind of tough on ourselves where it's, I didn't do this, or I fell short, like, woo, stop the train. What did you do when you can do little big things?
Yes. And I want to suggest something that the New York Times suggested. Talking about social distancing is a very uncomfortable term because we're not social distancing, we're physical distancing.
Yeah.
And I want to change that dialogue. And you'd think the New York Times saying it would be enough.
Yeah.
And people would go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Because we're still being social. You and I are being social right now. Right. When I'm out on the sidewalk, I still say hello to people who are passing by. I'm just not being physically close. Words can be important.
Yeah, well, they are important because I know right now there's so many people who are struggling and feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm super separated from people. And this is where technology can do amazing things. You know, we're Zoom calling, you can Skype, you can walk around the neighborhood and say hi from a few feet away and still keeping, I think there's so much more than just like, I'm going to text someone. Okay, that's great. But being able to see someone in their eyes and seeing somebody's presence goes so much further, because otherwise it's like, it is easy to feel tremendously disconnected, and that's where we kind of can feel funky. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and that's one reason I'm glad that I'm quarantined, whatever it is, stay at home with my husband. So I have that close connection. I don't feel distant.
Right.
My youngest daughter lives a couple blocks away. She stops by on a regular. She won't let me get her near her, of course, but she needs to borrow some envelopes or whatever. And so I see her. My other daughter lives a house away, so I get to see her and my grandson. And that's all I need. Like, that's it. That's all I need. And my son came by with my other granddaughter. We fed the fish. We played with the chickens. We pet the cat.
Got those animals. It helps.
We just wear our masks and we don't touch each other, but we get to see each other.
You see each other. You get to see each other. Getting creative in ways that we can kind of keep that sense of personal connection going. When sitting down in a restaurant again, but I'm grateful that I'm able to, have a house and here with my, with my son and my husband. But it's definitely been interesting.
I think so often about the people who have lost jobs and how are they coping?
And can't pay their mortgage or can't pay their, their rent or whatever it is. And there's just so many dynamics to this. I think we're going to see the ripple effects for a long time. And one of the things I shout out is if you are in a position that that you're in a good place and you have the ability, like, adopting someone, I'll say that air quotes, where it's, maybe kicking them a gift card, or,
right. What do you need?
What can we do? Or dropping off some groceries at their front door, and this is where the power of the internet comes in. You can send a gift card, or you can do whatever, or what can I do and help you with? Because this is where I think as a community, we need to kind of do what we need to do. Yeah,
I completely agree.
So that's my 2 cents with that. But I do want to say, Karen, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to thank you for being just a light and really cool, amazing human being. I love your kind of hippie flair, just bringing color to things. I'm like, rock on, girl. And, kind of changing the world in some pretty gnarly ways. And this is where I want to, so if you've got in just a few weeks, your 5th season coming out, you guys hop on HGTV and check out Good Bones. Love what you guys are doing. And it's good stuff. So I want to say thank you, Karen, for taking time out of your schedule today.
It has been delightful. And I want to say one thing. I get a lot of commentary on social media about my laugh.
I love your laugh, man.
People feel very strongly. People either love it or hate it. And what I say is, this is the one I have, right? Yeah. I didn't make this up. I didn't think, oh, this would be a good laugh, because I've tried to change my laugh and it doesn't work. It's ridiculous. And I'd rather use the one I have than not use it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's kind of like, that's life, right? Whatever skill you have, whatever you have to give it with love. Mm-hmm. And then the rest works itself out.
Yeah, and be you.
So I'm sorry about my laugh, but it's
no, never apologize. No, rock it out. And laughter is contagious. And to me, anyone that has a problem with your laugh, or anyone else's whatever that they were born with, it's their own issues that they're projecting on you. And I won't get all therapeutic, but that's what it is. So love yourself, girl. Love yourself. And I want to say to everybody listening today, love who you are. Know that little big steps are massive in changing the world, and Absolutely. Be the light that you were intended to be. And wishing each of you tremendous peace, love, and goodness.